Tell me the story of Blindfold.
So, about 5 years ago, I was finishing up with working in the financial world. I'd been in the financial world for about 13 years and had done very well between running a hedge fund and also running a mortgage company. And I had been fortunate enough to get out of the mortgage industry at the right time, to stop, right before it went crazy on me. And I had the most money that I'd ever had at any one time in my life. And I've realized something during that point, that I just wasn't happy. That having all that money and being able to go out and buy whatever I wanted and do all the things that I'd always wanted to, I wasn't fulfilled. So I started looking for different ideas and things that I could do. And I knew I wanted to do something socially conscious and wanted to do something to give back and make the world, in my grand scheme, make the world a better place. And so about 2.5 years ago, after a lot of trips and traveling and just still, having fun but not truly happy or satisfied, I went to Mountain Film Festival in Telluride and saw a film that my sister was producing, and a guy that she was working with, Tom Shadyac, who she still works with, was doing this film called I Am. And I got to meet Tom and hang out with Tom, and I saw the movie, and it just completely opened my eyes. And it wasn't that it opened my eyes to how you should live your life, which is what the film's about, but it opened my eyes personally that I should be doing something in that realm. And so I started researching, and I moved to California, and I lived with Tom for a few months and was among that community of people that were all doing the things that I wanted to do and never really had the guts or the courage to step out and do. So about a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, a friend of mine, my ex-wife, had an accident, and we had always stayed good friends even after the divorce, and it made me want to come back and take care of her. So on the drive back, I had a friend come with me, and I asked him, if you could do anything, what would you do? And he said he would do a magazine. And he told me, he's like, I love art and music and photography, and it was all the same things that I love. I've been doing photography since I was literally in 3rd grade. I had a camera and used to run around taking people's pictures. I always have. And it just made me realize that I could do something like that. But the idea of doing a magazine didn't really stir anything in me except, wow, it'd be great to do photography and write and do all these things that I truly love. And so then I started looking, and I started realizing that these films at Mountain Film Festival that I had seen, I would have never known about them unless I went. I would have never known about these stories unless I went there. And I said, they need somebody to tell the stories. There needs to be somebody in a socially conscious area that tells those stories. So I came back to Boca Raton, Florida, which is one of the least socially conscious areas in the world. And I started putting the ideas together with a couple friends. And to be honest, both my friends were more interested in just being a part of a magazine than really the socially conscious aspect. One of them is no longer with us. The other one still works with me, and he's still grasping that idea of like, hey, you can have fun, you can do all the things that you want to do, but just do them in a positive, socially conscious sphere. So that's how the whole magazine started, and that's where we are now.
From all the media that's out there, that's available for the general public today, why did you opt for an ink on paper magazine?
Yeah, that was one of the things that people said to me in the beginning was, well, why aren't you going to do digital? And I looked and I talked to people and I researched and I thought, well, if we're doing a socially conscious something, isn't ink and paper kind of contradictory to that? And so we did find recycled paper that we could use, and we found soy-based inks that we could print with so we could be socially responsible. And I just thought that right now, with the iPads and everything coming out and everything going digital, there still is that group of people that like that feel of paper, and they go through the airports and they go to Whole Foods and they go to Barnes & Nobles and they still love to pick up a magazine. So I said for us in getting the word out, on a grand national, international level, I said we need to have a printed magazine. We need to have something that people can actually hold. And I also found out, just from my own use, and then I found out that it was true, is that a lot of people love the iPad. Everyone loves the iPad. But I love it for books. I love it for the internet. I love it for music. I do not love it for magazines. I don't like the way it interfaces going through. I like to be honest, I like to be in the bathroom and have my magazine.
Yeah.
You know, I like to be able to travel and have my magazines. And I actually like to leave my magazines in places for other people to pick up and read, you know, what I read. So you can't do that with the iPad. And so I thought, let's do a printed magazine. And so that's what we did. And I think over the evolution of our Blindfold, I think eventually we'll go less print, more digital, you know, as that realm. It's going to take over. I know that. But I know for the time being, you know, for the people that love print, I think that we should stick with, you know, print as well.
Why the name Blindfold?
We went back and forth for like 2 weeks trying to figure out a good name. And we had Beyond was one of the names we came up with, meaning see beyond. And we had Not Seen. And we had all these crazy names. And then just one day I thought, like, Blindfold would be a good name. But, it, you know, it's the complete opposite of what we're trying to do to people. But the name was so catchy, and everyone we talked to said, oh, that's a great name. But, of course, the first thing we got is, oh, it's an S&M or a sex magazine. And, you know, so we've had to fight with that stigma. But as soon as people see it and they get the concept, oh, it's taking the blindfold off, I get it. And that's why we have, you know, our logo is the person peeking out behind the blindfold, and we brand it that way. And we want people to see beyond the blindfold, take off the blindfold, and see the things that are out there that they might not know about. That was the whole idea.
Is every cover model is going to be blindfolded on the cover? Is that going to be part of your trademark?
Yes, I think so. You know, we met with a gentleman out in California that said that he thought that we should go away from that, you know, and I said, well, that is our thing. You know, it's the blindfold image. So on the cover of the first one, we had Ian Somerhalder from Vampire Diaries. On the next one, we have Daryl Hannah on the cover, and she has the blindfold. And I think, yeah, that's going to be our theme. You know, most magazines that are in that theme area, they have their little catch thing that they do. And, you know, maybe not everybody will be wearing the blindfold, but I guarantee you there will be a blindfold on every cover of our magazine.
One of the things I hear a lot from people who start new magazines, I mean, is that they're doing it for the passion. They're not doing it as a business. They're not doing it. Can you afford to publish a magazine today just for the passion? Yeah,
that's a really good question. And I would love to tell you yes, but we are nowhere near that point. If it was just passion and love, I would be probably one of the richest men in the world. But that doesn't pay the bills, and I think it's coming up with something that you have a passion and love for that other people will have that same passion and love for. And our biggest, you know, area is finding those people that know about our magazine, that will learn about our magazine, that have that same passion and love. Because the thing that's overwhelming and keeps me going, and I'm sure it's the same for you when a student comes in and says, you know, I really loved your class, or I loved this, or I love what you're doing, you know, it fills you up. And hopefully all that stuff that comes in can fill you up enough to keep you going and make you determined, even when you're down or you're losing money, or, you know, keep that passion lit. That's one of the things that I'm trying to do. And the letters and the emails and things that we get from people talking about, from, you know, an 18-year-old kid to a 55-year-old mother saying, Jeramy, your magazine's the first magazine that I've read from cover to cover. And it's the first magazine that I read, and I walked away feeling good about myself and inspired, you know, and those things that you hear help to stir the fire and keep it going for, you know, for your own passion.
On the other hand, what was like the major stumbling block, or who threw like cold water on your fire?
To be honest, the one person that did was our web designer. Our web designer, who was the only one that really came to me, I felt from, I mean, not saying that everybody didn't have true intentions, but he was the only one that stood up to me and said, hey, listen, there's some things in the website, in the magazine that you need to change, and you need to stay true to that calling. You know, there's other magazines in our genre that haven't really stayed true to that socially conscious concept that they have, they've kind of gone off the reservation. So he was the only one that really said, like, you know, you need to stay away from this and stick with this and stick with good advertisers. And he threw some cold water on me. But that's pretty much the only one that's done that so far. I'm waiting for it, though. I actually want people to do that because that's the only way you learn and grow and, you know, figure out what you're doing wrong.
A year from now, where do you see Blindfold?
Well, in the beginning, we really thought that this was our plan. In 2 years, you know, we'll be in Barnes & Nobles. That happened on our first issue. Our first issue, which is out now, is in every Barnes & Nobles in the country and in Canada. So we accomplished that. Our second goal, which was our big goal, was 3 years from now, I want to be in Whole Foods. That's our key demographic. Those are the people that I think are kindred to our magazine. Our second issue is now in Whole Foods. It's going to be the next one, which has Daryl Hannah on the cover, is going to be in Whole Foods. So in a year, you know, I hope that we have more magazines in those areas, that we are able to go to more of the festivals across the country, the green festivals, the music festivals, and get into those areas. More people know about us. And I hope that if we're not profitable, that we're getting closer to that point of profitability.
What was the reaction from the advertisers?
You know, we have yet to find an advertiser that didn't love our magazine, that didn't tell us that they loved our magazine. Now, that doesn't mean that they've opened the pocketbooks. We've talked to some big ones like Ben & Jerry's and GM, and they've said, hey, we put our budgeting plans together a prior year out. We missed them going into this year. So they've all said, hey, we want to be involved going forward. You know, one of the things that I learned is that, let's say People magazine, maybe there's 1 million copies, 10 million copies printed of People magazine. When you buy an ad in People magazine, you know that 1 million to 2 million, whatever it is, are going to see your ad. Obviously, we don't have the ability to print that many. But the people that do look at our magazine, since it's quarterly and it's beautiful, it's a coffee table piece, they're going to look at it more often than they would at People magazine. So you're not going to, and they're also in that key demographic that our advertisers would want to hit. You know, in a People magazine, you might have an advertiser that's looking to hit a broad base, and they may get tons of value out of that ad. Our ads, although it's not going to be seen by as many people, is targeting that demographic very narrowly to what the advertisers want. So we haven't got the key advertisers yet that we really want, but I think it's a matter of time and just getting to the right people, and, you know, it's a process. That's the process.
With Blindfold, are you aimed more toward the digital natives or to the digital immigrants, or who's your target audience?
That's a good question. I would say you could take a mix of that, but I would say that our magazine really is key to that Whole Foods, the socially conscious people, the people that are willing to spend a little more money on a product. We have a joke here, we call Whole Foods Whole Paycheck, because it is so much more expensive, and whenever I'm at the counter, I always think, did I just break something? So we do key to those people who are willing to spend a little more money because they know that it's going for a product that's better for the environment. So that could be an 18-year-old, it could be 55. You know, it's in that area of people that care about what's happening to our world. That's the people that we're looking for. So immigrants or natives, I think there's a mix of those in there because both groups of those people do care. You know, it's the ones that are willing to spend the extra money to make those things that they care about happen. Those are the people that we're really targeting.
You followed the advice of your friend, and when you were on the drive back to help your ex-wife, and you said, let's start a magazine. Why don't you start a magazine? What advice you would give to somebody coming to you and say, Jeramy, I have an idea for a new magazine?
Right.
What do you tell them?
I would tell them to do their research, you know, to really narrow down their demographic of who they're going after, see if it's a viable product that they're going to be putting out, make sure that they really do their homework. That would be the key that I would really say. And I would say that use your passion. If it's something that you're passionate about, really get involved from every aspect of it. I would say, you know, the first issue that we put out, I've never edited a magazine, so we hired a copy editor to go through it to help us, and she really helped us. We still had some mistakes in that first issue, editing-wise, but the second one now is perfect. There's no problem. So I would tell them, do your homework and surround yourself with good people that know what they're doing, that have been down that road that you're trying to go down.
What makes Jeramy wants to get up in the morning?
That's a good question. I mean, usually it's my dog whining, and I don't want to listen to him whine, so I get up. But honestly, the more driving force is that I feel like we have a great magazine. I feel like the messages and the images that we put inside, it comes from all the people that are involved, their heart and soul. And I want to get that message out there. I really want to one day wake up and the stories that we've told in our magazine, we don't have to tell those stories anymore because those problems have been corrected. And that really drives me. And it also drives me to the fact that the people that read our magazine, one of the big things we say is we want our readers to become our writers. We want to inspire those people. So really our magazine is about inspiration. It's about inspiring people to get up out of bed and to move on and to do their thing that they're passionate about, to not get stuck in the same traps that society usually puts in front of you. So that would be what gets me up in the morning, is that inspiration. And a lot of that honestly came from that Mountain Film Festival crew. Those people that I met, those people inspired me to want to do this and to get up.
My final question for you is, what keeps you up at night?
Oh, what keeps me up at night? That would also be my dog. But more importantly, that would be, knowing that in order to be successful at anything, you have to constantly be thinking about it and constantly working on it. And the ideas, and, sometimes it's obviously the bills, and things that we have to pay for that keep me up. But more than that, it's the stories that we want to tell. And it's thinking about those. And sometimes in the middle of the night, I'll wake up at 3 in the morning and, grab my little iPhone and go into the notes and write down, an idea that came to me. And so it's more of a positive things that keep me up at night, as opposed to years ago when it was, the stuff that I was dealing with in the financial world would keep me up. So now things that keep me up are things that I want to keep me up. So it's good.
That's great. Well, congratulations again. I mean, it's one of the few magazines that I bought 2 copies. Usually, like, one copy I put for the book, for the guide, for the collection. Yeah. And then if I really enjoy a magazine and I want to go through and like flip the pages and do stuff with that, I buy more than 1 copy. And
I'm honored. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Nice of you. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the second issue.
Yeah.
And wish you all the best of luck. Hopefully one day we'll meet in person and you'll come down and speak at the conference here or something.
I would love to do that. If you email me information, I will try to make a point to do that. I mean, that's one of the things that we need to do, is to get out and talk to people about our magazine. And, right now I've got tunnel vision of finishing issues. And when the second one's printed, which should be in the next couple of weeks, I'll make sure to send you some copies so you can give them out to your students and other people that you'd like to see it.
Excellent. It's great meeting you via Skype, and
right.
Take care.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.